South Africa is turning up the pressure. Across the country, authorities are launching powerful raids, door-to-door inspections, and major compliance operations as the government steps up efforts to enforce immigration laws, restore order, and tackle illegal activities. These actions come after years of growing public concern over undocumented migration, illegal utility connections, abandoned buildings, and crime, issues that have fueled heated national debate. Welcome back to Mzansi News Daily News. And as always, kindly smash that subscribe button, like this video, and share it with others so you never miss the latest updates from across South Africa. Stay with us until the very end, because I'll be giving my full analysis of these developments and what they could mean for the country's future. In today's report, we'll take you straight to the front lines of the ongoing operations. We'll cover the dramatic standoff during protests, the controversial door-to-door inspections involving officials and community members, the strong reactions from both supporters and critics, and why many South Africans argue that enforcing the country's immigration laws is essential. We'll also take you to Johannesburg, where city officials launched a major compliance blitz in Bramley, uncovering suspected undocumented immigrants, illegal electricity and water connections, abandoned buildings, and multiple bylaw violations. Then we'll head to Marble Towers, where authorities returned to enforce a High Court order after discovering that illegally operating structures had continued despite previous enforcement action. With emotions running high and opinions sharply divided, we'll break down the official statements, the facts on the ground, and the growing debate over immigration enforcement, public safety, constitutional rights, and the rule of law. You don't want to miss this. Stay tuned, because the full analysis is coming up at the end.
So today we started in Bramley, where we did the first property on Hiera Road, where we found 5 male illegal immigrants from different countries, and we also found 3 females with children, which we think that it is now a strategy of these illegal immigrants to always be with children, because then they can't be arrested immediately.
Anti-immigrant protesters went door-to-door in Johannesburg's Alexandra township on Thursday, breaking into homes where they believed undocumented immigrants were hiding. They escorted the people through the streets and into police vans where they were taken away. This Zimbabwean man, apprehended by the marchers, told Reuters he was in the country legally. The surge in anti-immigrant sentiment culminated in nationwide protests on June 30th, an informal deadline set for undocumented immigrants to leave the country.
From now on!
The most prominent leader of the movement has said that protests would take place every Thursday until demands were met.
Every Thursday!
Millions of people are unemployed in the country, and many South Africans blame immigrants for problems such as crime and unemployment. Vigilantes have recently attacked foreign nationals and looted foreign-owned shops on numerous occasions in recent months. And President Cyril Ramaphosa has warned against scapegoating immigrants for deep-rooted problems. His government has repeatedly told citizens that they cannot take immigration enforcement upon themselves. Police have stepped up arrests of undocumented migrants in response to the protests and have also deployed officers during recent marches for safety. A Johannesburg police spokesperson did not immediately comment on the actions of the protesters or the officers at the scene. South Africa's immigrant population stands at about 3 million people, or roughly 4% of the total population, according to Stats SA, a relatively low share by global standards.
Patriots activists and community members describe these developments as communities demanding the enforcement of existing immigration laws and municipal bylaws. Critics, however, argue that some of the operations raise serious concerns about human rights, dignity and due process, prompting calls for greater government oversight and accountability. The scenes you have just watched capture both the growing public frustration surrounding illegal immigration and the increasingly complex questions facing authorities. As emotions continue to rise from different sides of the debate, South Africa finds itself balancing two equally important principles: enforcing the law while protecting the rights and dignity guaranteed under the Constitution. While many condemned the scenes shown during the door-to-door operation, others argued that the discussion should not end there. They believe there are broader questions that deserve equal attention. Let's take a look.
Bandits are eating human beings in Nigeria. There are baby factories in Nigeria. There is terrorism in Nigeria. Libya is enslaving West Africans. Ghana is unaliving LGBT people. Congo is being decimated by the RSF. Ebola is ripping through the continent. Most people on the African continent have never had an HIV test. 99% of Africans do not have access to free healthcare. Governments are stealing billions while your people live in poverty. You do not have functioning roads. You don't have running water. People, do you really care about Africa? Do you care about Africa? Or do you just care about pathologizing South Africa and making one country look like it has to carry the burden of the entire continent, and making one country look like it is the epitome of evil of the entire continent? Do you actually care about Africa? Have you spoken about any of these issues that are plaguing our people on this continent? You do not care about Africa. You are not as passionate about making this continent great as you are about making South Africa seem like an evil country with evil people living in it. And to that I say, if we are that evil, nifunani la? Why are you here if we're that evil? You do not care about Africa. You do not care about Africa.
The speaker raises questions about consistency in international reactions to events taking place across Africa. Among the issues she mentions are the violence committed by extremist groups such as Boko Haram, modern slavery reported in parts of the continent, governance failures, corruption, inadequate healthcare systems, shortages of essential medical resources, and major public health crises that have affected millions of Africans over the years. Her central question is this: why do some continental voices appear far more vocal when South Africa discusses immigration enforcement than when many other humanitarian crises unfold elsewhere on the continent? Whether viewers agree or disagree with that argument, it raises an important point for reflection. Criticism carries greater moral weight when it is applied consistently. Likewise, the enforcement of immigration laws carries greater legitimacy when it is implemented lawfully, fairly, and without discrimination. These two principles are not mutually exclusive. A nation has the legal authority to regulate its borders and enforce its immigration laws. At the same time, every enforcement action must respect constitutional protections, due process, and human dignity. That is precisely why this debate has become so difficult. One side fears lawlessness and the erosion of state authority. The other fears the erosion of fundamental human rights. Both concerns deserve to be heard. Some commentators have argued that critics often focus on South Africa while remaining relatively silent on crisis elsewhere. Others reject that view and insist that any abuse, regardless of where it occurs, deserves equal condemnation. Ultimately, these competing narratives demonstrate that South Africa's immigration debate is no longer simply about undocumented migration. It has become a wider conversation about sovereignty, justice, consistency, accountability, and the responsibilities shared by governments across the African continent. As these debates continue, enforcement operations themselves have shown no sign of slowing down. In fact, today's developments suggest they may be expanding. The operations are no longer confined to individual neighborhoods. Municipal authorities themselves are now conducting coordinated inspections alongside multiple government departments, targeting illegal occupations, undocumented persons, utility theft, and bylaw violations. One such operation took place in Bramley. Let's take a look.
So today we started in Bramley, where we did the first property on Hiera Road, where we found 5 male illegal immigrants from different countries, and we also found 3 females with children, which we think that it is now a strategy of these illegal immigrants to always be with children, because then they can't be arrested immediately. We did Hiera Road, And then we did, all in all, 10 properties in Bramley. In less than half day, we did 10 properties. Some of them are abandoned. South Africans and illegal foreigners are staying in those properties. We are going now to say to the city, let us then apply for the expropriation of these properties. Let us start that process. All the properties that we visited, we saw that there was an illegal connection of electricity, an illegal connection of water. We have done level 3 disconnection, where we disconnected electricity from the pole. We took out the meters due to illegal connections. One of those properties owed the city a lot of money. The lady that we visited, where they owed the city 240,000 rands just on water, and electricity is prepaid, but it was breached also. So we visited another property there in Bramley, also with illegal immigrants, illegal connection of water, illegal connection of electricity. And I must say big up to the people of Bramley. When you go to one house, the others from a compliant house, they pimp the other house. So we end up doing houses that we are not going to do. But we then said, let's come back to this Edinburgh, Bevan Street, where we were last week, to come and see if the illegal immigrants that we processed are still here. Indeed, we found one illegal immigrant that I personally put in the parking, that we took to the police station. He was here with a child, a young boy, selling alcohol, having opened an illegal tavern in one of these properties. We also found some illegal immigrants in the first property, about 3 or 4 of them. But most of those that we have processed are gone. This one informed us that he was released by the police at Sandton police station. 3 of them were told to go, and that is why he is back here. But the rest of those that we arrested were processed for mass deportation. We will go and find out from Sandton police station why were these 3 released, because Home Affairs confirmed that they don't have papers. Those who had papers, they had fraudulent papers. But we have done God's work. They gave City Power permission to disconnect. Is this also going to serve a fine on one of these properties that has a borehole that has connected with the services of Joburg Water? So we have disconnected electricity from number 5. Number 5 is servicing electricity. There are cables from number 5 to number 1. We've cut all of them. Cut. We also saw a big bundle of telecom cables. Telecom will be informed. So it's clear that that is a stolen cable. We are going to still look for the Chinese who own these properties, and the law must take its course. This is hashtag Operation Restore, hashtag Operation Lukisa, hashtag Operation Lukisa, hashtag Operation Restore.
The city of Johannesburg continued its high-impact compliance program with inspections across Bramley, where officials conducted multiple property visits in a coordinated operation involving municipal departments and law enforcement agencies. One of the most significant lessons emerging from operations like this is that enforcement is becoming increasingly multidimensional. The officials are no longer looking only at immigration documentation. They are simultaneously investigating electricity theft, illegal water consumption, abandoned buildings, business compliance, property ownership, unpaid municipal accounts, illegal taverns, and suspected stolen infrastructure. That changes the conversation considerably. Whether one supports stricter immigration enforcement or not, illegal utility connections, unsafe buildings and municipal bylaw violations affect every resident because they place additional strain on already stretched public resources. If today's operations are a sign of future enforcement strategies, South Africans may increasingly witness integrated inspections where immigration authorities, municipal officials, police and service departments work together instead of operating independently. And that trend became even more evident during another major operation conducted in Johannesburg's inner city. From residential properties, officials shifted their attention to commercial activity inside one of Johannesburg's most well-known buildings. Marble Towers once again became the focus of municipal enforcement. Let's take a look.
You guys are operating when you're not supposed to. are selling and you're not supposed to. The shops have been closed, but you guys are operating.
They say you mustn't close.
Who said you mustn't close?
One of you.
Who said you mustn't close?
One of you guys. We are trying to.
But you've been operating. You've been operating. No, they must arrest them.
No, it's operating.
No, you must be arrested. There's a court order that the shops must not operate because they're illegally here.
Bahlali baseGoli sanibonani Councillor Zungu, the MMC in the city of Johannesburg. We are back at Mabel Towers and we thought we should come back today because lastly we actually given them an order from the court that they should not be operating. But coming here this morning, could tell that they're actually operating fully. We was at the basement, and they are not allowed at all to operate the basement of the building. And they were actually taking everything from the shop because I think we've been lenient towards them. Today we're not going to be lenient. We are going to make sure that we enforce the bylaws as required by the city of Johannesburg. So we're going to be taking the stock here. We're taking the owner of the shop because it's operating without any working permits. He's from Ethiopia, and they know that what the law says about illegal foreigners running businesses. If you are illegal in the country, you must also have working permits. So there's none in the shop. So we're taking everything in the shop, using the shop only. Thank you very much.
Only hours after the Bramley operation, the city of Johannesburg intensified its inner city enforcement campaign by returning to Marble Towers following concerns that previous court orders had allegedly not been fully complied with. Executive Mayor Dauda Morero led the inspection together with members of the mayoral committee and senior municipal officials. The inspection formed part of the city's high-impact service delivery program, targeting non-compliance with municipal bylaws across Johannesburg's CBD. According to the city, officials discovered that structures previously declared unlawful by the Johannesburg High Court were still operating despite the court ordering their closure and removal. The judgment had also directed that the building be brought into full compliance with applicable safety regulations and that unlawful structures should neither be occupied nor accessed. Officials expressed concern that continued activity inside those structures posed ongoing risks to residents, workers and members of the public. During the broader operation, several traders were stopped for permit verification, while other business operators underwent compliance inspections. Footage from the operation also showed a brief commotion after some individuals reportedly attempted to flee before being apprehended by Johannesburg Metropolitan Police Department officers for further verification. City officials reiterated that enforcement actions would continue as part of wider efforts to restore compliance throughout the inner city.
Here. They are complaining that most people who are operating here are operating illegally. So I see an official is arresting you. What happened?
Honestly, I don't understand what transpired this morning because I just came to the office and then I find everything happening. As you can see, they are confiscating goods here and I'm being arrested. I don't know for what reason, but it's okay. I try to explain to them what my duty is here. Yes, I manage the center. Yes, I manage the people. I tell them what to do, what not to do. But now, in this case, I was not told specifically why they are arresting me. There is no illegal foreigner, whoever that I employed here or given a shop to or given a space to. I don't know.
Do you know though that the city of Johannesburg went to court and the court gave the city of gave you the 21 days to vacate because Marble Towers, according to the court, is operating illegally here. So that particular 21 days has lapsed.
Not necessarily Marble Towers. I was told to close certain shops, which I can show you now that they are closed. That I adhere to the court order. I'm working according to the court order, not Marble Towers. There are certain shops which are supposed to close, and I did so accordingly.
Enforcing bylaws, as you know, that we said constantly and regularly will be coming out to enforce the bylaws of the city. We're doing an assessment at Marble Towers after the operation we did a month ago to ensure compliance. We're disappointed Marble Towers secretly or covertly continues to operate, so we are likely to close it completely. Our legal team and our emergency management team, they are on site to make the correct decisions in closing that building. We're ensuring that no illegal trade is taking place. We're also looking at counterfeit, also looking at those that are undocumented and illegal. So we are continuing on bylaw enforcement, and we are happy with the progress that we are seeing, but we need to double our efforts as the city to ensure that we can reclaim the city of Johannesburg.
Perhaps the most striking aspect of the Marble Towers operation is that it centers on one of the most fundamental principles in any constitutional democracy: respect for the rule of law. When a court issues an order, compliance is not optional. Whether the matter concerns immigration, business licensing, unsafe buildings, or municipal bylaws, ignoring a court judgment undermines confidence in the justice system itself. The city argues that these structures presented ongoing safety risks despite clear judicial instructions. If that is the case, continued enforcement becomes not merely an administrative exercise but a legal obligation. At the same time, enforcement should always remain proportionate, transparent, and accountable. Businesses operating lawfully deserve certainty. Residents deserve safe buildings. Municipalities deserve compliance with bylaws, and every individual affected by enforcement deserves fair treatment under the law. Taken together, the Bramley inspections and the Marble Towers operation illustrate that Johannesburg's current strategy is broader than many initially assumed. Authorities are simultaneously addressing immigration compliance, illegal occupations, infrastructure theft, unsafe buildings, municipal debt, unlawful businesses, and court order enforcement. Whether this approach ultimately succeeds will depend not only on the number of operations conducted, but on whether they produce sustainable legal outcomes that withstand public and judicial